Getting ready to vote in the bill? Yep.
Debate has expired. Pursuant to House Resolution 566, the previous question is ordered. The question is on the motion by the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Arrington. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to.
No, they don't. Now the no's were way louder.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Massachusetts seek recognition?
Ask for a recorded vote.
Vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. A sufficient number having risen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 15-minute vote.
Yippee! I thought the bill passed the House. Government is complicated, okay? These are amendments. Yeah, what amendment are we on? I know there's a billion of them. We're getting pretty close to the line, though. Hakeem Jeffries filibustered for like 9 hours. Is it technically a filibuster? I think it has a different term. I think he just gave a speech for 9 hours. There he is.
About disruptive changes to our nation.
There he is. There he is. There he is. There he is.
Patrick.
There he is.
Budget.
There he is. There he is. There he is.
Okay,
there he is. There he is. There he is.
That at its best, Congress should function as a rival. Press on for our seniors, press on for our veterans, press on for our unions, press on for...
Hold on 1 second.
I got so many stories, I feel like I'm in a hip-hop studio right now.
Do you think my audience would get mad at me if I said I'm blacker than Hakeem Jeffries? Can I say that? I think I can say that. I think I'm allowed to say that.
For our farmers, press on for our dreamers, press on for working class Americans, press on for the middle class, press on for all who aspire to be part of the middle class, press on for the poor, press on for the sick, press on for the afflicted, press on for the least, press on for the lost, press on for the left behind, press on for the rule of law, press on for the American way of life, press on for democracy. We're going to press on.
J.D. Vance tweeted, GOP congressman just texted me. I was undecided on the bill, but then I watched Hakeem Jeffries' performance and now I'm a firm yes. That's probably a lie, but it's still funny.
Until victory is won. I yield back.
Jesus Christ, you're applauding like you beat the bill. Carry him. Carry him on your shoulders and crowd surf him back. So what did it accomplish? It bought us 8 hours.
Did he do it?
8 hours stay on death. I mean, not really, because all of the provisions in the bill are going to take place at the same time in the future anyway, so... Really, it's more like it dragged out our agonizing death by 8 hours, you know? Like, it didn't buy us any time. The amount of time we have until the execution of the provisions in the bill remains the same. Are you taking an accelerationist position in the passing of the big beautiful bill? Yeah, in the same way that a guy says, you know, it is what it is after getting hit by a car on the way home to work after a double shift at McDonald's. I mean, I'm, like, coping. Like, the bill is passing whether I wanted to or not, so I might as well try to take a positive attitude about it.
I think it's, Mr. Speaker, I think it's fair to say the leader has done his part. I have no further speakers. I yield back our time.
from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute. You have 2 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, could we have order?
Nerd.
The House will be in order. The House will be in order, please. The House will be in order, please. Thank you. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized for 1 minute. You have 2 minutes remaining.
Wow, Mr. Speaker. We have stood in this chamber for over 8 hours, listening to a lot of words, a lot of comments, a lot of inaccurate statements.
Inaccurate.
And where I come from. Could we have order?
Shut up! Shut up!
Gentlemen,
Shut up!
the House will be in order. The House will be in order. The House will be in order, please. The House will be in order. Thank you.
Is this a gay
Gentleman from
Republican?
Missouri.
You people are straight as you have terrible gaydars. This man is not gay at all. 3 people said that in a row. You guys have, you genuinely, like, you have no idea what the f you're talking about.
Is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I come from the Show Me State, and what we just heard can be defined in one word. A bunch of hogwash is what we've heard for 8 hours on that side of the building. I'll tell you, for the 8 hours, could we have order?
We'll suspend.
Shut up!
The House will be in order.
It really makes you sympathize with the bullies. Like, have you ever considered that before the bullies, like, gave you a wedgie in high school, like, you guys were just agonizing to be around? Like, the harm you were causing the bullies by existing was greater than the harm you experienced by being wedgied.
Thank you. He's recognized.
Mr. Speaker, the 8 hours of hogwash that we just heard will not change the outcome that you will see very shortly when we deliver historic tax relief for working families, small business owners, and farmers.
You guys need to tune your gaydar if you're going to make, like, homophobic comments, okay? I'm good at it.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to our great Speaker of the House, Mr. Mike Johnson.
I thank the gentleman from Missouri. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, Ronald Reagan said one time that no speech should be longer than 20 minutes, and unlike the Democrat leader, I'm going to honor my colleague's time and be a little more brief than that, all right?
It is f***ed up how good Mike Johnson is at his job. He's also one of the best-dressed members of Congress, though I wish he would wear shirts with wider lapels.
I just want to say something that many of us learned when we were children. We were taught, you know, it takes a lot longer to build a lie than to tell the simple truth.
No, it doesn't. The opposite of that is true.
That's what I'm talking about.
Do you think Ronald Reagan would be proud of this bill? I do. Actually, no, I don't, because the bill is, like, comically self-destructive in a way that Ronald Reagan's ideology would foretell, but did not necessarily pursue in its time. Like, Ronald Reagan was still a fan, for example, of American hegemony. Like, Ronald Reagan believed that America should be strong. And I don't think the GOP thinks that today, like, at all. I think they think it should be, like, a playground for billionaire pedophiles. They want it to turn to Russia. And so, no, I don't think Reagan would like it. But not because Reagan's not evil. He's just, you know, He believed in American hegemony.
My friends and colleagues on both sides of the aisle, we've waited long enough. Some of us have literally been up for days now. But this day is a hijally important one in the history of our nation. We have a big job to finish, and that's why we're here on the week of July 4th, just a day before now, America's birthday. It was on that fateful day, as a Democrat leader acknowledged, that our founders pledged their lives and their sacred honor to this grand experiment in self-governance that we are now here to steward. It's an experiment that falls to us to guard and to protect it. We take that very seriously on this side of the aisle.
Sorry, this guy's kind of like boring competent. Are you more interested in watching to see whether or not the country explodes? Because this is where the vote is currently sitting at. And it looks like that's all she wrote. We'll see. We'll see. The Democrats might have been able to actually apply some pressure if we had the 3 remaining Democrats who died of old age. But unfortunately, they did die of old age. Amendment? Is this an amendment? I know it says amendment. Read the title at the top. You can't trust the titles. What is the amendment? It says amendment? Okay, yeah, it's on the amendment to approve. I wish it would say that. C-SPAN, up your game. Amendment of the bill. I believe they're approving the amendments that the Senate put forward. Yeah, it says HR 1. Sorry, like I look at chat, I look at C-SPAN. Yeah, this is the bill. They're concurring on the Senate's amendment. I'm not mad at you for being wrong. I'm often wrong, okay? The way our legislature works, the way this amendment vote and this amendment vote, can they get 3 votes in 3 minutes? Well, that's the crazy thing about American democracy. The time limit at the bottom is meaningless. Totally meaningless. No meaning at all. This could run for another hour. Could vote for 2. Can people switch votes on this vote? Yes. What does pres mean? Present. It means that they're abstaining from voting. NV means not yet voted. But with 9 Republicans left to vote, I imagine that right now Mike Johnson is like aggressively twisting a few people's balls, as opposed to gingerly doing so. Whoa, C-SPAN is faster than House.gov? Yeah, of course, it's C-SPAN. C-SPAN is the source of all that. I mean, we're watching this off PBS, but C-SPAN is the original source of all this. House.gov just hosts it. Who's the one Dem no vote, Fetterman? NV means they haven't voted yet, not that they're voting no. 211 Democrats have voted no. Also, Fetterman is a senator. No, it's, guys, not everyone's an American. The timer means nothing. They can place it on hold like they did last night so Trump can whip votes. Yeah, even the Associated Press was saying yesterday in response to a reader question, like, oh, see, they're applauding. They just got 2 more yeses. That's pretty much it. It's passing. The Associated Press said that it was pretty much guaranteed to pass. It was just a matter of time. The margins are just too slim, and for the Republicans, there's no alternative. Why is there a child there? Republican congressmen are celebrating after the yes vote. Jesus Christ, Fosh. Dude, what? This is the kill everyone bill. If I was a little bit blacker, I could say this bill's real name. The you die N-word bill. You die MF. That's how white people have to say it. But it's the kill everyone bill, basically. Like, who the cares? 17 million people off Medicaid? This is going to have a death toll larger than any war we've ever fought in. It's going to have a death toll larger than COVID. Should I leave the country if I have the ability to? Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a sinking ship. It's not going to be like that forever. But for now, it is a little bit of a sinking ship, yeah. Who are the 2 not voting? I don't know. The greatest pleasure that I'm going to derive from the coming years, keep in mind that this stuff isn't taking effect till after the midterms because Republicans really don't want to get slaughtered in the midterms, which if all this stuff took effect immediately, the Democrats would win the midterms by like FDR margins. They would get Assadist numbers as like every f***ing rural hospital closes. Speaking of, Curtis is a small town of 900 people in rural southwest Nebraska. The Curtis Medical Center announced yesterday it's closing after more than 30 years. It's the only healthcare provider in the community. They blame Trump's Medicaid cuts. Guess which way Curtis voted. Now listen, okay? I'm just gonna put my feet in the ground. If Schadenfreude is the only joy that you can feel, in times like this, I say you bite into it, okay? Them. They literally voted for it. There was no ambiguity whatsoever about what was happening here, okay? They literally voted the Project 2025 playbook was literally the, you know, QMF die like guidelines beforehand. They wrote down what they were going to do. It's all happening. I feel bad for those 58. They lived in this community. They were already suffering. I live in the rural South Fosh. They don't give a f. It's on them now. Yep. Listen, okay, we're fighting a war against fascism, and every Mima who dies in agony because she can't get her diabetes medicine in rural Appalachia is a victory in that war. All right? We're fighting to win. How permanent are the bad things? Unfortunately, a lot of this bad is permanent. The Democratic Party as it exists right now will never approve on the tax hikes on the wealthy necessary to undo this damage. Yep, the bill's passed, 217. Yippee! Like, if the Democrats were based in red pill, they could undo this. But they're not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've talked about this bill so much, don't really know what to cap it off with, to be honest with you. Are the high count of deaths not going to sway people? Republican voters are animalistic. If their loved ones die due to a lack of Medicaid, they'll find a way to blame illegals. They don't care. Like, dude, think about COVID, man. COVID hollowed out, like, what was it, 1.3 million people? It was the largest mass casualty event in American history. And the takeaway from, which disproportionately affected rural and elderly people. Mostly Republicans died. And despite that, the takeaway from the Republican Party and their base was that COVID was fake, gay, Chinese, and you shouldn't have done anything about it anyway. Like, what do you do? Would I be called a bad person for not caring at all for these people? They voted for them to not be cared for, okay? You're just following their wishes. The worst states to live in are Republican, and they still keep voting them in. They'll love this bill, and they'll blame us for their bad life. Yeah, it's been happening in rural communities for like 60 years. Rural communities have been mismanaged by generationally bad Republican leadership, deprived of resources, starved out of public goods, and they just blame coastal elites. Like, people living in Kentucky are suffering because of New York for some reason. No, they're not. You're being, like, the only reason Kentucky isn't like an actual deject third world shithole is because the wealth that New York spreads around the country. I know that, like, capital accumulation in major cities and in the coast is a real problem, but that's being facilitated by stuff like big box stores scraping up all your small businesses, which is facilitated by local politicians, which you keep voting in. Yeah, the ruraloids are definitely not beating the allegations. It's really weird urban people don't blame rural folks for their corrupt city governments, yet rural people blame the coastal elites. Yeah, coastal elites, people who live in cities, don't think of rural America. Like, rural America lives and breathes with contempt for the big cities that don't think of them at all. This is literally true. The entire identity of, like, Republican rural communities is built around having a chip on your shoulder all the time. People in cities don't think, nobody living in New York or LA is like, I wonder what people in the panhandle of Oklahoma
Members
have.
voted.
Ah.
Or wish to change a vote? No. On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted.
It's fucking over, dog.
Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
I think one under-discussed element of Trump's win, hush, I'm talking, is that there's a really big separation between the boom in Republican support that we saw in cities and some suburban areas as a consequence of Trump being the Republican nominee, and the historical support for Republicans in the rural areas. The rural areas are, hold on.
Permission granted in Clause 2H.
I don't care, it's bureaucracy. The rural areas hate coastal elites, hate Democrats generationally. Literally, like, father to son to son to son forever. These people are animals, basically. Like, they're cattle that need to be led by shepherds. The degree of long-term disinformation and media control in their environments is so sickening. Like a cultural reform project rivaling Reconstruction or like post World War II Nazi Germany would be needed to unhinge them from this. They will vote for Republicans or whoever they think Republicans are best represented by, no matter what. And then you have this boom in Republican support from cities where you have like mostly young white men and some young black men and Latino men, I guess, who are little Hitlerites who like Trump because it's epic and edgy and they're tired of not getting to say retard. You know? And I think that those people are, a lot of them in a few years are not going to talk about their support for Trump. Like, that was a flash in the pan caused by Trump specifically. Those people would never vote for Ron Johnson or Bob DeSantis, or they would never vote for an institutional Republican. You know? Did I say Ron Johnson? Did I say Bob DeSantis? I'm sorry. Capella distracted me. She was jumping down from the shelf. Let me let her out. I'm creatively illustrating the point that these people are all interchangeable. Do you understand the difference that I'm talking about, though? That you have people who are generationally Republican, like it's literally a family feature for them, and then you have people who are like following the lay epic meme trend. I guess what I'm saying is that there are people who are going to be embarrassed by their support for Trump, and then there are going to be people who like, you need to do Reconstruction on. We really need to do another Reconstruction. We need to do it much better this time. We need to do it much, 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 much more thoroughly this time. Yeah, Joe Rogan, I think Joe Rogan is kind of like the thought leader for that particular group of not entirely city-dwelling, but often city-dwelling, stupid young, white, not always white, but often white guys who support Trump because it's like the new dissident thing to support, because it makes you feel contrarian. What does thorough Reconstruction look like? Education from the urban centers to rural areas? Honestly, I feel like it needs to begin with a federalization of educational reform. You know? Like, why the in the year of our Lord 2025 is Oklahoma allowed to teach school children that Jan 6 was based in red pill or whatever because Trump actually won the election? And there are plenty of states with local curriculums that teach the lost cause myth. Like, the first step is you have to break the hold that conservative interest groups and corporations have on local education. Homeschooling needs to be made illegal. You need like a doctrine passed down from the top, okay? It would be nice, but that won't happen. Yeah, well, nothing seems possible until it happens, right? Like, what else are we gonna do? The country's gone, man. We need to do a reverse Pol Pot. I've always thought that's a good idea. I feel like if you took the average retard, drooling, incest-ridden ruroid and you put them in a major city for a few years and gave them like a soup kitchen job, a lot of them would end up being more functional people. They would be significantly more intelligent. They would be more empathetic. They would have a wider skill set. Like, what you're subjecting these people, it's backwards. You're subjecting them to like a peasant lifestyle. Obviously, they're going to have a peasant brain. Enforce that through martial law? Well, that's what I mean by Reconstruction. Are there still states that teach creationism? Yes. They teach both sides of the debate. I get what you mean, Vosh, but that's literally what the Republicans are trying to do now. What? They're trying to do Reconstruction? No, they're not. What do you mean? In the opposite direction? Kind of. Driving through the Midwesternmost GOP states, think coastal Dem states have all the homeless people, but that's only because everyone in their states looks homeless. That is true. The reason the coastal states have all of America's homeless is because just living in Idaho is being homeless. Like, you have a wooden box that may or may not be like weatherproofed that you live in, but like functionally it's sort of like living in a tent on the street. We got to bring it back, man. I want to see like levels of colonial propaganda that rival what the British and Dutch were putting out in the late 19th century. You know that famous picture of the British safari man striding over Africa, like with his legs and his feet are touching like all the way from the Cape to Morocco, you know? I want shit like that, except it's a New Yorker with his Tims, and one Tim is like planted in West Virginia and the other Tim is planted in Utah, okay? Just like we will reoccupy the United States We need to do westward expansion again. The West Coast and the East Coast need to touch tips in Kansas. Yeah, the Rhodes Colossus. There we go. Oh, he didn't have it in Morocco. He had it in Egypt. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You can see it, right? With the Timbs, and you've got like the cropped sweatpants here, and then you've got like the oversized Uniqlo Airism tee. You get it. You've got a trucker cap. Am I over racializing the person I'm thinking of? Like the perhaps the demographics of the person that I'm thinking of striding across America? Am I making it too obvious? Why Timbs? I can't explain New York or black people to you. Sometimes you just have to. Even AOC is Timbs? Yeah, she's from New York. Timberlands? Oh, Christ. Guys, you're making me look uncool to the brothers watching from YouTube chat. You mean Timberlands? Are you referring to the Timberland Boot Company? God damn. Timberland is better than saying Timbs? Are you racist? I bet you're like, dude, it's ask, not axe. Linguistic prescriptivism L. Another L taken. Chat's why Vosh isn't invited to the cookout. Dude, unironically, I was doing so good until I started streaming. When I lived in LA, oh, I was on it. I was familiar with lingo that you couldn't even fathom. I can't say it here. It's Timbs, not Timbs. Yeah, that's what I said. It doesn't really come across in the verbiage, in the vocal. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't know. Pretty bad. There's been a lot of stuff like that lately. I don't know how much of this they're going to be able to delay until after the midterms, because like their approval rating is still sinking with every passing week. I saw this yesterday too. Trump withholds nearly $7 billion for schools with little explanation. Helps pay for after-school programs like learning English. So it seems Trump is illegally withholding $7 billion from educational facilities because they were teaching like ESL classes or something. Like the money's already been appropriated by Congress. So there's like I don't think they've even really tried to explain this. How is that even possible? The president can do whatever he wants. Yeah, the money was going to illegals. True. So they want people to speak English, but they're taking away the thing that helps kids speak English. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret, but they don't actually want Mexicans to speak English. They just don't want Mexicans. I'm letting you in on a little secret. I need the next Democratic president to be borderline authoritarian. Borderline. Oh, okay. Sure. I mean, whatever you want. It is true though, and I really do mean this, that like just as this presidency has been extraordinary in how quickly and maliciously and somehow incompetently, but also effectively destroyed this country, the next Dem presidency will need to be 10 times as exceptional to just undo the damage. Not make things better, just to undo the damage. It's easier to break than to build. And if they can't do that, a Republican will win again soon after. And will continue the project. And yet we have no one in line to pick up the mantle? Yeah? We're pretty much in the end times. Which is one of the reasons why I've advocated for you guys to get involved. Check out your DSA. Check out your local Democratic Party branch, or Young Democrats, or Young DSA, you know, whatever's appropriate for your specific instance. Take a look. I know it doesn't seem like much, and it doesn't add up to much, but there is a power vacuum in the Democratic Party. Hundreds of millions of Americans dislike Trump. More Americans dislike Trump than like him. You have to understand this, okay? No matter how bad things might look in the government, that underlying fact remains the same. Don't underestimate the perseverance of a people, okay? There were communities that lived under Roman or Ottoman rule for centuries, and as soon as the Ottoman or Roman empires collapsed, they instantly rebounded. After centuries, generations and generations and generations and generations, they still maintained enough of a unique cultural identity and a distinction from the greater group that the moment they were able to, they sprung free. So don't count America out in the long run. In the short run, it's going to be pretty rough. But if we want that, if we want the short run to be shorter, I mean, if we want the good to come faster, we will need to fill that power vacuum. It is literally the only way. You get me, right? Whatever. End times are the end times with or without the DSA. Don't make me regret my metaphorical language. The end times refers to the biblical end times, which are the actual end times. When I say the end times, what I mean is shit sucks mega bad. There have been plenty of worse times throughout history. Black Death, Fall of the Roman Empire, though that one took a long while. Honestly, for a lot of people, the expansion of the Mongolian, Roman, whatever empire, you know, there have been plenty. The Great Depression, there have been plenty of times that have been worse. So basically, don't be a pussy, okay? I'm using metaphorical language. It's not actually the end times. Do you genuinely advocate for people to start making moves to leave the country, though, or was that mostly joking? Dude, if you can leave the country, if you can leave the country and take a sabbatical for a little bit, I wouldn't blame you. But hundreds of millions of people, including most of the people watching this right now, will remain in this country. And if you're going to remain in this country, you might as well do something useful with it. What are you going to do? Cry and jerk off about it? Oh, the country's getting worse. So do something. If you have the ability to go and chill in Spain or whatever, then, you know, I don't think you should be forced to stay on a sinking ship. But what do you think about queer flight from red states? Oh, you should definitely do that shit. Yeah, that's 100%. Absolutely, yeah. If you're any kind of them, if you can move from red states to blue states, yeah, for sure, for sure. I know the housing market's not looking good. You know where the housing market is looking better, by the way? New England. Why don't more people move to New England? I know it gets cold over there, but like, you know it's beautiful up there, right? Anything in like the like, you know, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, you know, anything in that, it's expensive as. Yeah, I live in Seattle and I lived in LA, so it's cheap to me, but yeah. Just go live in an exurb, okay? It's not all expensive. Avoid New Hampshire, it's our south. Fine, Vermont, go to the Bernie state, whatever. I know it's irrelevant interpersonally, but isn't the share of electoral colleges dropping in California and other blue states? Yeah, because people are leaving blue states for red states, so fix the problem then. Also, the most recent reapportionment for 2030 actually showed a decline in the trend, where fewer votes are being lost by California and Texas, or sorry, California and New York, and fewer votes are being gained by Texas and Florida. And that's because Texas and Florida are themselves getting expensive. Also, Florida fucking sucks and is going to be underwater soon. So basically, yeah, move to blue states, pump up those EV numbers, or EC numbers, sorry. I don't care if you buy an electric vehicle. Does DSA require you to be 18 plus? There's young DSA. How's Minnesota? The f should I know? I haven't been there. Probably, like, cold. I hear Minnesota's good. Not exactly a blue state, right? More of like an edge case state. More of a purple state. What are your thoughts on the expansion of the Supreme Court? What are your thoughts on the expansion of my tummy? Me with 40 additional Supreme Court seats packed, shaped bulge, suspicious shaped bulge in my tummy. Yummy. Do you think there's any hope for blue cities and red states? I think there's no hope for spineless wimps who ask me questions to try to work out the viability of their very specific life circumstances, okay? Listen, you have a fire burning in your heart. If you didn't, you wouldn't be able to type because you'd be dead, all right? You have to channel that fire, all right? I don't fucking know about Austin. I've never been to Austin, okay? Have the fire. Build the analytical powers that would allow you to make these life decisions yourself. Be strong, okay? Be a Randian Superman. Be a Nietzschean Ubermensch, okay? Carve out your own path in life.